I love how everywhere I go now, everyone has an Otter account going. It's a good idea. All right, so
How does
Mark,
it work for you, Mike? I'm just curious.
Sorry, what was that?
How does the Otter work for you?
It transcribes the meeting notes, so I can go quickly and get a summary of all the key takeaways, and then it
Yeah, and
highlights in the conversation.
How does it, do you like what it does for you, or are you still trying to figure it out, or where are you with it?
Now, I paid for the pro because there's so many different meetings in different groups that if I can't make it, like Andrea's Otter will get an email, and the host, which the host is it CSC community in this case, or Chirag Shah Coaching, that account, you'll get an email with a summary, and you could choose to accept that or not, but then it gives you key takeaways of each meeting. If there's any slides presented, it'll also capture that as well. So I think that's a piece that, you know, you kind of get through the pleasantries of a meeting, and then you get into the bulk of what people are talking about. And then towards the end, it gives you that summary piece where you can skip ahead. So I think what it really does is allows me to go into more meetings virtually, but capture more information that I can kind of pick and choose what information is helpful. So I think for that standpoint, it's helpful.
Well, it's working for you then, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, got it.
no, also, like if you're training your team members, right, or anything that you want to do that's repeatable, you can hook up a Otter account to your Zoom. You can share your screen and talk through it. It'll be transcribing it. Then you stick the thing into ChatGPT and say, please take the text here and create it into a step-by-step process in which you're able to teach another person to repeat the task. And you have a whole training manual that you can make in minutes. Say, what? Yeah.
That's a good one.
Is anyone using ChatGPT here?
Every day.
Margot? Tracy?
No.
Let me tell you, in all aspects of your life, whether you're traveling, whether you're looking for things, writing listing descriptions, the whole thing is predicated on prompts, right? So the more detailed, so you could say, ChatGPT, I want you to write a listing description for my property, but before you do it, can you ask me any questions, informations about my customers, their demographics, up to 20 questions so you can best complete the task. And they'll ask you 20 questions and you'll give it all the information, and then it'll give you even a better answer. And then if you don't like it, you're like, please edit this down to 100 words. Please make this 50 words. Please make this down more. It's insane. It really is. So I wanted to do something that I think is more pressing than like a lot of the stuff we talk about scaling our business. As we have this low inventory, high interest rate market, there's a lot of conversations that we need to be having with our clients. And the challenge that I find now in my Compass Robert Refkin Roadshow, side note, I have no idea how this man does this for years, is I've spoken to over 2,000 plus agents. And what I've come to the conclusion of is no one knows how to talk to people. And the way that they talk to people is not geared in a way to help a person get to the outcome they want. It's a lot of talking, but not a lot of facilitating. So I wanted to understand from you, what are the biggest challenges you have? And I actually wanted you to, Aaron's going to be upset because this was his idea, but is to hear a couple of you guys talk with each other. And what we find is when you hear other people talk, it's the fastest way to make shifts in what you're doing. So anyone feel free to throw in any kind of challenge they have. Josh Muncie, Fran Mazer, nice for you to join us. So look, you guys missed our whole ChatGPT download, but what I want to do with you guys today is talk about more market challenge questions, right? Like there are buyers that have unrealistic expectations. You have sellers that want way too much money. You need to get price reductions. Those are just three of them. So what I wanted to actually do is give you guys frameworks and actually have us all role play it together so people could hear each other speak. And it'll be the fastest way in helping you guys understand what great looks like and what bad looks like and how to improve yourself. So who wants to throw the first scenario out there? Really, a guy has to mow the lawn?
This is any challenge in our market. That's what you're asking for?
Yeah, like, do you have Shrug, what do I say when someone doesn't want to drop their price, or if I need to get a price reduction, or a buyer wants to find a deal that doesn't exist? Like, these are all conversations you need to have. And I actually find they're the most valuable ones because it saves you time and actually shows you how to make money.
I got a development that has no off-street parking. in an area that should have off-street parking for each unit. And so having trouble selling the last 4 units.
So ready, there's objections and conditions. So that's a condition that you can't change. So in the end, the simplest thing is the developer has to bundle some kind of offer where they see past the parking. And so like for you, for him, you go through the you can control, I can control, no one can control, right? And make your own set of things based on this circumstance. Can either one of us control that buyers feel that having a need for parking is a challenge? No. So what can we focus on and control? And then you bring the conversation back that way. Because really what you can control is marketing, advertising, the visual representation of the home, customer service, and negotiation trends. You can't control anything outside of that. But going through that with him, and he could control price, condition, terms, and accessibility. He can't control anything else.
Yeah, but that's just a good point. It's got me thinking about like, is there something we can do a little outside the box? Not Zipcar, but I don't know, like just to think.
Just ask him, what do you think we can do to create a value in the eyes of the buyer that will cause them to purchase a home, knowing that this is a major condition they're going to have to deal with every day?
Yeah.
All right. What else do you guys have? More, who is the challenge getting price reductions right now? Anybody? Okay. Unmute yourself. Hi, Tracy.
Hello.
So I would imagine this is a high-end luxury home.
Yes. So it doesn't, I have one that's like in the low 2s and I have one that's in close to 7. And I did get a price reduction on the 7 one, but he's still not realistic and he's still grasping on to, well, this traded this time and this, but we're dealing with a 2002 build. It's a big house on a nice piece of property, but he's still not, it's just dated, it's like no one wants your wide plank floors, that everyone wants white and grays. And
How many comparable homes is he competing with in that same price point?
probably 3 to 4.
Perfect. So ready, here's what you tell these people. Like, look, go back. And this is why that everyone that does their Med C process, it's important to know their motivations and what they're looking to go by, like what they're looking to get to. And I would say to you, like, Tracy, you had shared with me, why is the person moving?
Downsizing.
Downsizing, right? And what are they excited about in a result of downsizing?
They're going to stay within the town and they're going to do another project, smaller, buy something else and do the work.
Okay, perfect. So I'd say, look, you had shared with me originally, like your motivation was to downsize your house and do another excited. I'm really committed to doing that. And at this point, I want to discuss there are 4 different things that you can choose to do. And whatever you choose to do, I support you 100%. Can I go through the different scenarios? So you're going to say, yeah. You can say, look, based on what, and I always use this word, based on what buyers are willing to pay for homes at the current price, they don't see a value in it. So there are 3 or 4 other competing homes. The first home that improves the price to create a value for the eyes of the buyer is going to set the market. Then the remaining homes are going to follow the market. The last set of homes are going to be left with the market. And ultimately, the 4th one is you could choose to rent your house or just stay here. Which one do you think works best for you?
And he's going to say, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to do some work. And I mean, he's digging his heels in, but.
So you could say, great.
And we happen to have a buyer that's looking at it and wants to come in and bring the designer and the architect. And then they're going to come with the whole list of what it's going to cost. And he's like, I don't want to hear it.
So here's what you go to the person and say, I'm going to share this with you. I'm going to put this in writing because I don't ever want you to come back and say, why didn't you share this with me? Because it's important. If these 3 other homes sell their home, the first person's going to set it, the other person's going to follow it, and you or whatever homes are going to be left. So if you're really committed to moving, there is a chance in waiting that you could be left based on the prices that your neighbors choose to accept for their home. And you have to really take some time and think about what's going to work best for you. I know this isn't the ideal situation, but really put some thought and let's talk about it. And just leave it at that. The more you try to explain to these people why they should do it based on logic and data and sometimes they feel like you're trying to convince them.
Yeah, I mean, I've had very good luck in this market in getting sellers to, because we've sold a bunch and we've gotten over the ask. It's like the pricing is so key right now. And it's like you want to bang it over their heads, because when they price it right, they'll reap the benefits and it goes over.
Yeah.
And even on some of the high end stuff, it's still like, if it's priced right and people see value, it's like there's all of a sudden people bidding on it. So
Right, so this guy didn't want to hear that from the beginning, or was it more that it started out because it needs work, and stuff that needs work is harder to sell right now?
it's more that it's 2002 dated. So the
Yeah.
kitchen's 20 years old. It's a beautiful traditional home. It's
Yeah.
just when people come in it, they're like, oh, the mahogany library, which was gorgeous. People want to lacquer
gonna-
it. They want to change it. It's,
They
you know,
want
big
some
white
money.
plank floors, the stone all over the place. Like it's just a different, but yet, you know, the newer constructions will get the 7 million easy, even if it's a smaller square footage and the lot is smaller. So it's a little bit of that.
Remember, set the market, follow the market, be left with the market, or choose to stay. When you put things in that perspective, right? And then you've already shared, everyone shared the data already. So you already know that they're not driven by data and logic unless they're finance people. And the finance people tend to be the most stubborn, right? So when people realize that that's what's going to happen, then they realize like, okay, which one of these 4 buckets do I really want to be in?
Right.
And you tell them, and as soon as they say, then I think I just want to stay here, say, great, then I think you just pull your house off the market, and we'll keep updating you, but just understand that every one of these comps that trade is out of your control, and they're going to be setting and making the new market for you.
It's like I get the text before showing, remind them that you can put a golf simulator in the basement. I'm like, I got this. Like, I know what we can do and not do.
Anyone here have unrealistic buyers? Do your agents have unrealistic buyers? Are they equipped to be able to talk to these people?
You mean like they want to come in like with a really low ball offer, or what do
So
you
you
mean?
start, this is what we found the most common challenges are. I'm not overpaying, or I want a deal. You saying every day, Mike?
No, we have buyers like that. I mean, but I think it probably depends, like every answer in real estate. We have people that we just made an offer and it's 89% of list with all the net concessions they want, but it's been sitting for 100 days. So I don't think that's unreasonable considering that variable.
No, see, what you guys want to do as team leaders is align your team on how to have these conversations from the beginning. Like saying no to bad sellers and saying no to bad buyers is like the key to success in this market.
I got something that comes up. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think we all probably hear this to some extent, like whether a seller or a buyer, kind of speculation around where interest rates will be 6 months or a year from now, right? It's like, well, maybe I should sell in a year. Maybe I should buy in a year when rates are back to 5.5 or whatever that might be. And whether they end up following through with that or not, I'm definitely noticing that it's like it comes up.
Have you seen our calculator, Josh, the cost of waiting calculator?
I remember that, which is a good tool.
It literally, guys, you put all the information in and it shows you that by being able to negotiate the price today, that's a better value than waiting for the interest rate to come down. And you could actually figure out the exact delta of how much you need to negotiate to close the gap in whatever potential interest rate. So we'll reshare that out with the group again. And you literally walk your buyers through when they're like, "All right, great. Like, let's look at the numbers and let's see what makes sense." And in the end, every time we ran the simulation, I didn't find a simulation that I did where it made more sense to wait. Because here's the thing, when the rates go up, right? When you go back and you could say, okay, the rate, so here's something smart you can do. You can look at like a chart of historically the months and what the rates were, right? And then you could look at what comps are trading for at higher interest rates in these areas versus what the comps are trading when the rates are lower. And you'll see when the rates are lower, the prices are higher. So there's more competition, less choices, higher prices, and be like, if you're smart and it's within your budget, and a great investment to make is now when people are apprehensive or people that can't afford the house at 8%, but could do it at 6%, you buy it now. And when the rates come down to 5%, which they eventually will, you refinance, you got a discount on your price. So your overall mortgage, your interest payments are less. Like the numbers are seriously in that favor.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How are people finding escalation clauses? Like, are you guys using them, or because I'm finding I've had some sellers just flat out reject them. They want nothing to do with them. They think they're cute and they're like, they get stuck in like the traditional bidding way.
We've had effective uses of them helping us secure properties without maxing out on the escalation. And I have seen a couple cases here or there where at the front, the broker is like, and no escalations in, because they're anticipating 5 to 15 offers or whatever, but that's not the norm in our market.
Okay.
We're about 50-50. They'll usually say right up the front, no escalation. And I can understand it because I think there's confusion on how people calculate the escalations. Whether it's the purchase price on the front of the contract or what's the highest bid at that moment.
Right.
So when you have 2 or 3, it's easy to do, but I had a situation, I had 14 offers in May and 8 of them were escalations. The amount of spreadsheet beyond my skills was a little difficult.
We've used them, Josh, also, some successful, some not. I think it's challenging when the other side doesn't understand it if you're the buyer's agent. I think that's the challenge we've ran into. And some listing agents have ran into that our firm's policy is to not accept escalation clauses. We actually won a client because their agent would not use it. And we picked them up because we're like, no, we have a great relationship with our attorney. We're not attorneys, but we'll have something drafted. And so, we had something drafted that worked, and we won a client because they fired their other agent because their firm's policy was to not allow that. So
Isn't it the seller's decision, not the firm?
Absolutely. Should be, I think. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think what we like as agents, we work for somebody. So if that's what the client's wishes are, then our job is to convey that, right?
And it's legal. Yeah.
And it's legal, then, but I do see like the benefit on both sides. Like on one hand, just make your final offer, but not, Josh, to your point, not maximizing, like going 100,000 over some crazy number. There's a cap. So I can see both sides, but
I think the escalation clause also helps a little bit with less buyer's remorse when the person that maybe overbid by a huge nut feels like now they've overpaid. And when they win by an escalation, they feel like maybe they just did enough.
that's a great point, Tracy. And we have something in our paragraph that our attorney put in that said, we want to see a copy of the other offer. And everyone says, well, they can't share that. I'm like, but we want to see it at closing. You could show it at closing. I mean, it's all about good faith on the other side. Like I'm trusting you as another agent. In a lot of cases for that escalate, at least in our market in North Carolina, they're not allowed to share a copy of, unless without all parties' consent that has made an offer. So we have to work around that piece, but at closing would work around that. It's all about that good faith, right?
Tracy, so in your market, are you seeing that there's more and more pushback on it than there used to be, where you used to use escalations and now people don't want to?
Yeah. So if it's a unique property that you think you're going to get like an offer or maybe 2 offers, people are allowing them. But if it's a hot property that, there's low inventory and it's in good condition and you're going to, people are scrambling to get in there. I'm seeing that those are the ones where I say no escalation. And those ones tend to go really high over list because of that.
So how do you find your like the people on your team? Fran, you've been really quiet over there. What do you got?
She's got
Oh,
somebody in the
Juggling
background.
a $6 million listing, that's all.
I keep losing you guys. Is anyone having this problem because of Prime Day? I've missed most of what was said except for Tracy. So I can just,
You're buying stuff, Fran. Admit it.
I'm not buying. That's the problem. And I never use
That's the
my
problem.
phone and the
Iron
computer.
echoes.
It's out. I keep losing you. I am in the same exact situation, Tracy. I was trying to comment, but then I lost everyone. Especially on the higher end, they don't want to hear about a price reduction. They just blame it on the market. They'll take it off the market. My person already bought something and closed. She's like, well, I'm going to rent that then. I said, but what is the point of that? You know, dated homes, big price tags. Yes, that we used to get these numbers. They're not getting those numbers.
You start with the you control, I control, no one controls. You have to align around that, right? Because if you can't, there are two things that happen. One, it's the seller identifies what their real role is, and two, you identify what your role is. And then you align around what no one else can do. Who is my favorite is iPhone. I don't know who this person is. It just says iPhone. Would it be Andrea? Oh, Jess. Of course it's Jess in her car. Look, it's like literally taking a steam cooker and releasing the steam. Because once they align around that, they're not mad at you all the time for all this crap that you can't control. You have nothing to do with what buyers are willing to pay for homes and what your neighbors are willing to accept for the price of their homes. And when people can understand that, then you could have a conversation based on logic. Half these people that are putting their houses on the market have no business even trying to be on the market. It's never going to sell.
Yeah.
And
So-
if at that moment you are reminding them or reassuring them that you are on their side, right? If you're delivering some kind of news in whatever way that it's a tough market for the kind of deal they want, if they see you as, you know, being on the side of the market or on the side of anywhere but them, then you're going to lose in the end. So it's important for you to be sure that, you know, Chirag mentioned the Med C before. What is their motivation? Whatever the motivation was that they told you earlier, you need to make sure that you're kind of, you know, coming back to that, so that they're reminded that you're not just sharing some kind of unfortunate circumstance, you're standing beside them and you're going to overcome that circumstance together.
Well, my issue is this wasn't even the price I gave her. And I kind of reminded her this morning that, you know, I told her I would try it. I told her the price that I thought it should go at. She's a know-it-all. She used to own a real estate company like 30 years ago. She thinks she knows everything. And she's extremely difficult. And she's like, well, it's the stock market. It's not my house. Lowering the price isn't going to do any good. Okay. All right. Now what?
Yeah. So I want you to sit down. Well, we've talked about this lady, right? Like some of these people just wait it out. Prime Day must really be popular in Fran's neighborhood.
Fran.
Is Fran in slow motion better or worse in real life?
I don't know if anyone else is getting this. There's a lot of private sales going on. You know, my neighbor, my friend, the notes in the mailbox. I think I'm up to 6 buyers I lost to private.
Now she's gone.
I've
Are
never
other
seen
people seeing that
wow.
private deals going on and you're losing business from it? She said she's lost 5 deals.
I haven't heard that from anybody else.
That's
We've done
wow.
private exclusives. We ended up buying one this past year. We've done a lot within our Compass family this past year. So I wouldn't count that as losing, but it's been off market, if you will.
There
I
are a
sold my
lot-
own house that way. I'm private
Tracy-
exclusive.
What do you have going on in your market?
This Tracy or Tracy with an I?
Tracy with a Y.
We're really dependent on the school year. So it's a summer shift. This is typically a slower time, July, baseball starts to wind down, people start to go on vacations. So I'm seeing less showings and just less motivation. And I think once August returns, we'll see more of the buyers that didn't need to enroll their kids in school picking things up. So I always tell my buyers, like, October is the best time to buy a house. Sellers are starting to panic.
Mhm. So look, it's a couple things with some of these people. It's you get into these scenarios and you're spending time, money, and resources, like putting good money behind bad money, right? I believe that every agent, and Kevin's nodding his head, should draw a firm line from the beginning. You can't invent pricing and you can't force people to buy things. If not, the top luxury brands that had the largest marketing budgets would get us to pay even more than they already do. And knowing you're in a volatile market based on interest rates, you have to be even more aggressive with your pricing. Because if somebody got pre-qualified 2 months ago, what they can offer is, every 1% a difference in 10% purchasing power. And the prices are not, because the inventory is low, the prices are not going to correct to adjust the interest rates. It's never going to happen. $1 million house 6 months ago is not trading for $900,000 today. It's not. So in some of these markets, there's like this gridlock of buyers who want sellers to adjust their price the same to reflect their interest rate. And you all are a lot more skilled than this, but your team members are not. So if you have team members, does anyone have team members experiencing any kind of burnout right now? Oh, she's back. You got to give it to Fran. She'll always come back. Now, look, one of the things that people have in burnout, Mike, you guys have like an army of people, right? I would encourage you in your next meeting to ask people, does anyone have buyer fatigue? And we find with all the teams we work with, a lot of people are saying yes. But the reality is they're not making the same income because the market's not the same. So they're taking anyone out because they feel like that's how they're going to make money. But these people aren't unrealistic. So this is the cycle that they go through. So can I give you guys like a simple process that will be translated into Mike's Otter account that you guys can all use? So when you hear like what would I call these words? When you hear words like I want a deal or I don't want to overpay, we'll go through those two things. First, you have to acknowledge what they say, like overpaying is terrible. I understand you want to find the best value for your family. You just agree with them. Because as soon as you start the conversation the other way, they're gone. Who wants to hire salespeople that's not enthusiastic about your point of view? You'll hire a coach that's not in alignment with your point of view, but that also is morally demeaning, right? It hurts. I can say this for Fran, Josh, and Tracy. I've told you guys some inconvenient truths to what you guys felt and what I felt. And in the end, we ended up in the right place, but the process to get there sucked. I remember Josh meditating in like a little booth in this office I was working out of, because like literally like we drilled him for 4 hours. His assistant's like, time out, we need a break. But in the end, he got what he needed, right? So look, when you hear those things, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge what they say in agreement with them. Buying a home is a choice. I don't call Mike Hagee and say, hey, Mike, come to my office today. You're buying a home. I don't say, Tracy Anderson, guess what? I'm coming to your house today. We're going to put your house on the market. It doesn't really work that way. It's their choice. So the next thing is understanding how to ask the right questions to control the conversation. Person says, I don't want to overpay. Great. Overpaying is a terrible feeling. Would hate for you to do that for a home. So would you mind sharing with me what your view is the right deal, not even a good deal, the right deal for you and your family? And we can look at the market through the eyes of your goals and expectations. Done. I don't want to, I want a deal. I don't want to overpay. It's the same thing, right? Align around what the right deal is for them. Say, let's look at the market through the eyes of your goals and expectations. This works every time. You go back 3 months, like, do you see anything that looks right for you? No. 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months. This is what's called creating the experience and showing that you care. And at the end of it, it's really simple. Most agents try to explain the data to these people, right, Kevin? Well, this is the data. This is what people are doing. They're not stupid, right? You could say, look at the list price, look at the sales price, look at the number. And we're going to say, look, we're going to go back as the past being an indicator of the future. And tell me if all of these homes for the last however many months as we go back would have been the right deal for you and you would have bought it. Okay. No. No, 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 no. You see anything? No. Okay, good. We'll go back. And this is why it's important to go back 18 months, and you might even want to go back 24 months if they're really difficult. You're going to say, based on what other buyers are willing to pay for homes over the last 18 to 24 months, none of these are the right deal for you. So how can I support you going forward? And just leave it at that. They have to answer that question, not you. Why are we sitting there trying to explain all this stuff to people? It makes no sense. And the more you don't care and the more unattached you are to all of this, the more they're going to want to work with you. Now, think about this. How many people early, I would say, in their career lost the buyer to somebody else? I'll raise my hand. Margo, you never lost a buyer in your life? No?
Apparently
Yeah, so Margo's new name is Money Mayweather. Undefeated. I don't know. Kevin's face might say they're undefeated. So look, here's what happens. Now, I meet your buyer at an open house. And, I start asking them questions and stuff and how long you've been looking for a home and, just general talking questions. And they're going to say, oh, I have an agent. My agent's great. I really like your agent. And I'm going to say, why haven't you been able to find the right home? Oh, we're looking for something like this. And then I'm going to say, oh, has your neighbor shared with you, like, what's been going on in the month? Yeah, they explained all of it and everything else. And I'd say, oh, interesting. Based on that, would you have been able to find anything? They'd say no. So I would say, hey, if you random question, if you weren't just investing the time into looking for a home on a weekend, what else would you be doing? And they're going to answer the question. I would say, can I be direct with you? They're going to say, yeah. Why would any real estate agent bring somebody out where they could be doing this that's important every weekend, knowing what they're looking for is not possible? When you hear it like that, it sounds pretty crazy, right? And then at that point, this is how people steal your buyers. I'd say, look, can either one of us control what other buyers are willing to pay for homes? No. So look, if you want a home, this is what it is. If you don't want a home, just stop shopping. Stay where you are, rent a different home. And at that point, these people will shift, a lot of them. Because they're going to look back at their agent and be like, why the hell have you brought me out for the last 4, 6, 8, 12 weeks, knowing that what I wanted was never possible? What kind of professional is that? Not one you can trust. Has anyone ever thought about it this way? I see that look in everyone's eyes that, oh shit, you got me look. Like, this is interesting. It's these small shifts that we can make that make the biggest impact. You have to remember this and look into this. And if I were all of you as leaders of your team and in the industry, you should know everything there is humanly to know about the DOJ's involvement in these NAR cases. They're on a witch hunt to change this. See, does anyone understand what? It's really funny. Like, Compass is not involved in this, but in my opinion, like, Compass kind of like got this ball moving, and I'll tell you why. If you remember several years ago, Robert said, look, if we have 20% market share in all these markets, we win, because if you have coming soon, if you're not on compass.com, you're missing 20% of the inventory. Well, they all freaked out and they changed the way that you have to submit your listing to the MLS. And the day the MLS started dictating how private homeowners market and sell their home was the day they sunk their boat. So independently, that's bad. It's freaking people, man. Hold on.
What's going on right now?
The
tour of the house.
Landscaper outside. I have a car coming soon to take me to the airport to go to San Francisco, so I'm not in my office. And so, look, independently, one of these things are bad, but two of them together is a clear violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act. It implies price fixing, collusion, and monopoly. When you dictate a way that all of these people do business, it creates a monopoly. There's no competition. People can't innovate. People can't create things new. Then also the buyer's agents commission, they're going to lose that case 100%. They've already had their appeal declined, And the judge says the compensatory damages to the plaintiffs are $43 billion. Do you think those 5 companies are going to afford $43 billion? The answer is no. So they're going to have to settle the case, and they're going to have to pay back commissions to sellers for a stipulated period of time. Does anyone know how case law works? Nobody?
In terms of a precedent.
Bingo. Once it happens in one state, it'll be less than 12 months till it happens everywhere. And they're going to have to change their things. So when I talk about who feels their clients are luxury? Josh, raise your hand. Tracy, 100%. Right? So here's the thing. People that are luxury people understand paying for things that have value and that are more expensive to have a brand. All of you are the same way. But here's the thing. If you can't effectively communicate the same way Louis Vuitton, how many people have like, I'll start with the women. How many people own a designer handbag? Exactly. You could go and get the same bag. You can get a bag that's functional from Kohl's. It's a fraction of the price. But why do you pay for the bag? Tracy, why do you pay for the bag?
Which I?
Yeah.
I or Y.
Let's start with an I, then a Y. We'll go alphabetical.
Because it's not always about the name. It's about the style. It's about, I mean, I happen to I love my pocketbooks and my bags, but it doesn't have to be, it's because it's got.
So style is your answer. Tracy, why?
Because it could set the tone for the whole outfit. I could have on everything else is from Target, but I've got a pretty bag and a nice pair of shoes.
Boom. Set the tone. Margot, what do you got?
I don't know. I like pretty things. I don't know.
Okay, you like the way it looks and feels. Great. Fran, what do you got? Coming from fashion, you should have an interesting perspective. Unmute. I've had the funniest follies with Fran over like the last 3 years on Zoom.
You should do bloopers.
It's ridiculous. The computer today. I think from a fashion point of view, it's the brand, so it screams luxury. So I think you actually almost, as much as it's going to be the high-end style. So if you're in fashion, you want the high-end style. It's also it's the brand, it's the status. I think it's all of that. I think it's all rolled into one.
Now check this out. If you look at a real estate agent, an agent can have a brand, an agent can have a status, an agent could have a style, an agent could have a design, an agent could have value, an agent could create an experience, an agent could make a house look different, right? Through marketing than another agent could. These things are all part of your brand and who you are. But as I've always said, there's a difference between perceived value and actualized value. And the gap is communication. No one's talking about any of this stuff. I talked to Rory the other day. He's like, man, you've been beating this on my head for 4.5 years. He goes, you're the only one I think that's actually positioned and their clients are positioned to really understand this, because from the day I met you, you've never stopped talking about this. And now this stuff is coming. So the question is this. If you look at a Kohl's bag and a Louis Vuitton bag, you can clearly understand what the difference is, right? Like the quality of leather, the style, the design, how long it lasts. Well, guess what? As great as all you guys are outside of your track record, when you're going to have to literally get a check with somebody and negotiate deal by deal eventually, how are you communicating what you do that's different than somebody else? And why should somebody pay you 2.5% as opposed to paying some other guy 0.5% or 1%? Because the article came out in Inman today, like the reject bottom pool of real estate that's unethical, shady, doesn't know what they're doing, is claiming 1/4 of the commissions.
Right.
You don't think these people are going to just say, I'll do it for 1%? All day long. So when I'm sitting here saying why would we take the most valuable time we have in a month to talk about this? Because this is going to be the biggest difference in your financial income of your life coming up. And everyone needs to be prepared for it. Don't take me seriously. I hope you don't. I think you're here because you do trust me and my ability and David's ability to be leaders and think ahead. But I'm telling you, this is going to be bad. And your agents, Robert said it best about inventory. Until you get lower interest rate, these inventories is not getting unlocked. It's not going to happen. So when you start seeing all this and the changes in commission, and this is they say that It's like everything in the world today. You know, they say that like if you have puddles outside your house, it's a breeding ground for mosquitoes and everything else. When you have these environments, they're breeding grounds for discounters and disruptors. So now I want to open this up to share your thoughts about that. Ready, set, go.
I feel like that's an interesting statement because I think it's almost the opposite. I feel like the last few years where like, you know, sellers, for instance, felt like they didn't even need to have an agent to sell their house, right?
Yeah.
And I actually think that this environment where it's, you know, more challenging both ends becomes where like agents like ourselves who are very invested and have experience are where we're going to be able to show our value more. I don't know. That's just kind of my thought on it. When I'm going out on listing appointments now, you know, I'm getting ahead of that. I'm discussing that like, this is not, you know, a year and a half ago. And the way that we work, you know, you have to use an agent who has experience in not just sticking a sign in the lawn or hanging one on the house about, you know, there are going to be challenges, whether it's timing or, I mean, you know, Kevin knows, like I've had a number of like deals fall apart over the past 30 days for like no good reason. And I'm seeing that all over the place. Motivation is down a lot. So like you need agents who know how to like ride that wave and set the expectation ahead of time.
Great.
And so with some of these changes happening, it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's mostly around buyer agent commission, right? And like how that's displayed, who it's offered from, if, you know, and so I'm inclined to think like the key is that like, especially on the buyer agency side, upfront contracts are more important than ever. And then value proposition for buyer agency services and pitch is going to be more important than ever.
Yes.
Are those
So
the big things?
The big things is, but too, look, you notice what Margot said? I'm getting ahead of this and communicating my value and why an experienced agent is different and the commission and everything like that. These things make a difference. Like, don't go into pitches not addressing the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
They're always thinking about it, right? And we all know that they know if they put a certain price, their house will sell in a day. They're not stupid. But, you know, I always tell the story about Lee Brown and sitting at Triple Play, and she says, you know why people hate realtors? And she's like, because we go into their house and we lie. You know what all the 3 lies that realtors sell? I'm going to sell your house in the fastest amount of time for the most amount of money for the least hassle possible. She goes, the last time I checked, you wasn't God. Can you control how fast the house sells? No. Can you control how much money it sells for? No. And have you ever met a real estate transaction that has no hassles? What they're paying for you is to understand how to navigate a challenging market, all the hassles, all the challenges, all the problems when deals fall through. It's your repeatable, predictable processes and track record of success. And I would say, look, like, you know, if you have 100, 200, 300, some of you guys have crazy like lifetime sales numbers. I would say I have $250 million in real estate sales and marketing experience that I'm going to put into this transaction. So anyone that tells you that there are no hassles is just lying to you. We've gone through these scenarios. And so look, a couple key takeaways before we go more into a discussion. Number one, your team members all need to join our playbook sessions. It's free. It's part of your membership. And if any of you want to know the real impact of it, reach out to Gretchen Coley. They went from selling 12 houses one month, 16 houses the next month. They're selling more than a house a day, and their entire team sits and does this together. The whole team. The second thing is leaders, you need to help these people know how to talk to people if you want to make money off of it. And in terms of commission cutting and valuing, you guys can all make like what I call like the Tony Robbins rule. It's like the 1 millimeter rule, right? When you get to a certain pinnacle success, it's those small little things you change that are most valuable. So that's where we need to focus. But things are going to drastically change. And they are changing when you look at like, you know, our sample size is well over 1,000 people here where we hear all of this different stuff from all over the country. So it's nice for all of you is that we can just package this and share this with you and help you stay ahead.
You know what would be cool, Chirag, is I'm really curious about her model. Aggression Coley that you just mentioned, because she is growing very quickly. It could be cool sometime to have some crossover from the mastermind groups, where maybe somebody from that group comes into one of our sessions and presents about their team, what their situation is, what their secret sauce is, and vice versa.
We're gonna have a lot of that at our retreat.
Okay.
We have Suze here. I think Suze, where are we going?
You want me to give it away right this moment?
Yeah, right now, 100%.
Okay. We're still finalizing the exact resort, so I'm not going to give that part away, but we will be in Costa Rica.
Woo!
I was expecting some applause, but that's okay.
We got a couple of woos. All right, so we're going to Costa Rica. So
When is that again?
Mike's
That'll
like, I need the plan.
October, I believe 10 through the 12th.
Look,
know what area?
I also would tell you this too, like if you have a significant other, right, it might not be a bad idea to have them fly in later or some overlapping days and make a trip out of it. Right? Stay longer. And
Is it, do you know like what area of Costa Rica? Can you share that?
It'll likely be in the Guanacaste area.
Okay.
I'm glad that this means something to somebody because I have no idea what anybody's talking.
We go every year.
Okay,
My
so it's a
family's
good
here.
list. So when somebody asks why'd you choose Costa Rica, it has the Tracy Anderson seal of approval.
Yeah.
So look, this retreat is something that's really special to me. It's one putting all of these great people together. But you know what we're looking to do, I'll definitely have some guest speakers coming. And the other part is I believe that this should be a collection of the greatest hits. So we'll be reaching out to people selectively that have great models, great lead gen, great systems and stuff like that, capturing these systems and having them share them back with everybody. Yes, Steve, you can come too. Don't worry.
His son's getting married, which.
So look, like, you know, one of the things that makes these groups great is the open sharing policy. Right. So we're going to drill down, and my vision for this retreat is drilling down the core areas of your business and finding the best of the best in all these groups, and us having good facilitated discussions, a lot of group discussions, right? A lot of LFR, me tying it all together and giving you tangible takeaways, which I believe we're the best at in this whole coaching industry, and creating deliverables, workbooks, session notes, and all those other things to make it easy to do. And what I want to do too with you is I believe everyone could own their time better. I've made this really cool system lately in a one-on-one like VIP day, where it's literally a worksheet or a spreadsheet that you can fill out to put all the things you want, how many times you want it. It's like really simplifies and you build out the perfect calendar. So look, continuity is the biggest challenge that anyone has in coaching. It all sounds great when we're here, but what happens after? And for those of you who work with me individually, you know the only thing I care about is after.
Spencer's still asleep.
So I hope all of you can come. It's going to be a really exciting experience. And it's the first time we've gone international. There'll be some beaches. We'll have tons of like, you know, our parties are always really good, right? So that you can count on, like good food, good entertainment. You can, Josh, are you coming?
Yeah, I was just thinking, you bastard, this is my daughter's birthday, and I missed it last year, and I just
Why don't you bring
Bring
your
her.
family there?
Bring the family.
No, but it just won't be, her party won't be on that day. It doesn't matter, you know, what her party doesn't need to be on the day. It's hard to bring family in. I mean, it's not school vacation though, right? So
Man, there's certain times in life you can miss classes. It's like, I don't know.
I
maybe
agree.
Cool schmool. That's right.
Well, I'll be there.
Costa Rica this time, right?
So
It's supposed to
look,
be.
in the end, what matters most to us is that you're able to get things and implement them into your business, right? And like, obviously we have core foundations and stuff like that, but I think conversations like today are something that we need to put in here. And I want to make sure that you're prepared for what's coming. Like seriously, if you work with a single buyer and anything like that, I'm telling you, and you could quote me on this, on July 11th at 11:54 a.m. The most valuable skill a real estate agent could own today in the future to scale and make the most money possible is knowing how to talk to people. I believe, candidly, I could go to any market in the entire country and I would have a 90% chance, regardless of who I was pitching against, to win the list. Because the only variable that I did not know would be the market conditions and price, right? I don't know anything about any of these markets. So you could sell 100 homes in Woodbury. I could go through the Med C that you control, I control the communication plan, a written marketing plan, and all the things that we tell you to do. And then I'm going to get to pricing, right? And say, before we discuss the position of your market, you wanted to move because of blank and blank, and it's really important that this happens as a result. Yes. So I'd say, who do you think the most effective person in getting the precise position and pricing for your home is, given the volatility of the market, the change in everything? A real estate agent or an appraiser? They're going to say an appraiser. And if they said a real estate agent, I would bring an actual appraisal. Is the real estate agent able to make all these adjustments for your home? No. So I'm going to say, look, I think this is really important to you. So I'm going to invest $1,000 of my own money so that we could talk to the appraiser, get market insight, see what's in contract, because we're his client, and I'll have an exact value for your home. You said that these things will be the best representation of your home. Would that be okay to move forward? It's done. That's the only variable that somebody doesn't know. It's price, right? Because there are three things people care about: price, market, and communication. That should never, ever be the case. I just know how to talk to people and how to hand somebody an iPad, tell them what button to hit, when to swipe the button, how to make it inclusive, right? It's based on our principles of communication. It's always their choice. The person asking the questions controls the conversation. Always be in agreement with the client. It's always in their benefit. No telling, no explaining, no being combative. Never be attached to the outcome. And just because they want to compromise doesn't mean you have to.
If you're a little like me, I love just listen to Chirag talk.
You like the lines. Well, look, in our end-to-end program that launches, that you guys all can go into in August, all of this stuff is there. We're going to start doing pop-up mic role play sessions, right? Meaning like 15 minutes. Here's how you talk to a buyer that says this. Here's the script. Here's everything. Go. Let's practice and see what it sounds like. So like my vision is training an army of people to know how to talk to people. Because think about it, you already work at Compass, so you have the best brand and the best technology. The only difference is, how do we communicate this with people so it makes sense? People will pay more money. Ask Aaron, he won a listing and he charged more than everyone else did. Because here's the thing, if you don't communicate what you offer in a clear, concise way that another person understands, the only thing left to compete on is price, which is commission.
And it goes back to what Margot was saying before. We've come through this period where even lousy agents could sell something. And we've come into this period where there's really more of a premium on expertise and knowledge and skill and capability. But even though those other people may not be really solid competitors, you have solid competitors no matter what market you're in, at Compass and at some of the other places. And so there's still a premium on your ability to do this well, and especially everybody on your team. It's kind of like, like in the late 90s, if you remember, like stocks were going up so much that everybody was dumping their stockbrokers and they were just trading stocks by themselves. And it was like, hey, I can do this. Why am I paying somebody else? And millions of people were doing it. And then we got over the Y2K and suddenly, the market goes down and everybody's like, okay, I got to find a good financial advisor again. But those financial advisors, even the good ones, are still in a competitive situation against the others. And so the premium.
Yeah, David, I have to get into a car in like 2 minutes. So I'm going to drop off just a couple minutes early for everybody, but David will finish up with you guys. We have our location. I will be in touch with some of you guys separately about things to present at this retreat and panels and everything else in the coming month as we're putting all this stuff together. So thank you all. Please practice. And if you need lines, like drop them in the, listen, if you get stuck in a scenario, like I have somebody saying this, like just drop it in the WhatsApp group. I have no problem like hitting you guys with a quick voice note. Hey, here's what you say to people. It'll be fun to do.
Chirag, you get your workout in today?
No, I'll get my workout when I get to San Francisco. That group is motivating, man. My body, I'm coming back, man. I'm coming back.
All right. Safe flight. Safe
Bye, everybody.
flight.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Hey, everybody, I'm just going to say one final thing, and that is, these questions about, whether you should kind of hang on to an agent, hang on to a client who's not realistic as far as pricing in the market goes. I want to remind everybody of my single rule about qualifying a client, whether the person has money, whether they're motivated to buy, whatever. There's one final basic question that should define your qualifying anybody that you're going to work with. And it's simply this. In the end, is this person willing to work with me on my terms? Because my terms go a lot more than just like, don't call me at 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. Ultimately, my terms include, I want to work with somebody who's reasonable given the current market conditions. And so if you've got somebody who's in fantasy land, that's not part of how you want to do business. And so if you end up finding a client or starting to get in touch with a client and find out that that person doesn't have a willingness to work with you in the real world, don't waste time with that client. Go on to somebody else who is. Ultimately, it comes down to that simple question. Is this person willing and able to work with me on my terms? If I have to move too far in their direction, it's not worth it. Because there's other clients out there, and we're always chasing more revenue, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. But if it gets us into a position where we start compromising on our own requirements, then we're just putting ourselves in a bad position. It's uncomfortable. It's unhappy, and if it's a weekend, why go show a house to somebody who's not going to buy? Go out with your family instead. Right. Okay. So that's it. Anybody else? Any final comments for today?
My daughter's always wanted to go to Costa Rica. So Josh, we may have to link up. I have an 8-year-old also. So,
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We're pulling them out of school. Let's go.
Two cool dads. Right. All right. Cool. Listen, everybody, have a great week. And I guess we'll see you on the next call, the peer group call.
Okay.
Thank
See you
you.
guys.
Thanks, everybody. Yep. Bye-bye.